Hey, hello everybody. I'm very excited today to have the guest that we have here joining us. My name is Adam Penna, and I am here to continue the conversation in 3D printing and additive manufacturing. And today, I'm happy to have Luke Boyer here from Carpenter Technologies. And Carpenter is a company that does a lot of stuff that goes into the material side of things. They've been working with additive for a long time. And Luke is over there just really heading up what's going on. He's the Additive Technologies Senior Leader in Engineering, and looking forward to the conversation, because there's a lot that's been going on. We'll figure how his life has been over this pandemic and how things are going to be going there at Carpenter, and also the outlook on where he's been and where things might be going. So Luke, welcome. Very nice to have you here.
Adam, thank you for having me here. I feel like I've made it.
Yeah, well, I've
arrived.
No, you've been doing some great things for a long time, and I'm a big fan of McGill University. One of my first employers, actually, when I worked at Faro, that's where the background at Faro was, with Simon Robb coming from McGill University with the theory of triangulation. So I have a big respect. And also, you were right here in Texas at Rice for your Ph.D. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. I was at Rice doing a Ph.D. and additive manufacturing was not on the horizon.
Yeah.
My PhD is in material science, and Rice is well known for being a carbon nanotechnologies centered university in the material science domain anyway. And so I did my thesis was in carbon nanotubes and asphalt bitumen, which is, I don't know, maybe not 180 degrees from additive manufacturing, but pretty close. And anyway, I kind of stumbled my way into additive manufacturing, and it's been a wild ride since.
Yeah, it is. And I know we've talked over the years, especially with your time at Baker Hughes. I know you being here in Texas, you came in and out of the facility to see a lot of things happening, and we had a lot of great interaction. And I know you had a lot of programs that you were starting up and really pushing additive over there. So now coming from, Baker Hughes and bringing all that background over to Carpenter, I bet you it's been an interesting year for you, especially with the pandemic. How have things been going for you?
Yeah, it's sort of a loaded question, right? I mean,
yeah.
I think it's going generally pretty poorly for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're, I think in general, but it's, as we were kind of saying before, right? It's like there are either you're not busy at all, or you're extremely busy. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the extremely busy side of things. Which is good. It's also a bit exhausting, and all the other exhausting aspects that just kind of weighs heavy with COVID and on everyone's kind of day-to-day life. I'm not gonna lie, right? I'm not immune to it, and I don't think anyone else is, but I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on that also, so feel free to edit that out if you want.
No, it's all good, man. Yeah,
it's a taste of reality. It's kind of reality too, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of reality right now. Everyone has to deal with their daily life being a lot more difficult, and just different ways of finding your sanity and what's going on. I try to focus on, obviously, the positivity. And in 3D printing and additive manufacturing, we've seen a lot of positivity. So
I was just going to say, the way that the community responded in terms of printing face masks and kind of the head straps for face masks and such like that, was absolutely astonishing. I was completely blown away. And then, that, and also there's a lot, of course, right? Like a lot more people who are working from home, and it's really opened a door into kind of breaking down that work-life boundary with some of your colleagues or people who maybe you're familiar with. I was on a conference call today, one of them, you could hear kind of a meowing in the background. So okay, my colleague, my friend, right? Has a cat. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then other times, right, you hear kind of I have a little toddler myself, but the toddler is screaming. They don't respect conference calls, right?
No.
So it just kind of like opens allows for a little bit more transparency, right? Of who people are kind of at an individual level, and not just, this is, so-and-so with whom I work. And
no, you're absolutely right. It's that human touch. We see a little bit of each other's lives, and you brought up an interesting point there. And also, I wanted to say, just from looking into things, and also you see everybody, of course, connected on LinkedIn. And I'm definitely going to give you the vote for best picture on LinkedIn. I believe, is that your daughter in the picture that you're sitting at the table with? Or?
It is my daughter, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Carpenter Additive collectively had a little bit of a photo competition for best work from home photo, and I'll be honest, right? I mean, my daughter is about 20 months old, and if you put a cute toddler in the picture, I mean,
Sure.
it's a bit cheating, but
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I appreciate the
Yeah, Luke's
accolades.
just a little bit competitive, right? Gonna win this one, knock it out of the park. Yeah, that was no, that picture is great. And I have a daughter myself who's almost 12 now. She's actually in the other room right now doing virtual school. So yeah, it's we're all facing different things, and of course, having the kids around going through their own thing, the children that are going through their own understanding. I think it has to be a lot more difficult for the younger kids that are trying to have their day readjusted right now. But again, it's just having a daughter is a blessing itself. So it's been a blessing, kind of, though it's been rough taking care of things sometimes. I'm glad I'm here to do it.
There's a part of me that's like, I want to go travel and get out. And some part of me is like, it's just kind of nice to kind of hunker down and spend a little bit more time with the family, right? Yeah.
Right. So yeah, no, great pick though. Now I know the story behind the picture. That's pretty cool. So Carpenter had they've got a lot of great things going on. I know that there was also, I see a podcast that had just started up from Carpenter. So that's really great to see, and look forward to seeing more episodes of that. So again, let's get back to what brought you into additive, but going into McGill University and then going now then over to Rice and dealing with things. Why all of a sudden going into material science were you drawn towards additive manufacturing?
Yeah, so I left graduate school when I was hired into Baker Hughes, which is an oil and gas company.
Yeah.
I got hired into the Metallurgy group in the completions product line. I wasn't really familiar with the oil and gas industry, even though I had spent the last, number of years in Houston going to graduate school there. And I was in the Metallurgy group, I don't know, maybe 6 months or something, when I was officially transferred into the additive manufacturing group. And that was a bit of a no-brainer for me in terms of trying to get involved and actually not being transferred, but trying to actively get into that group, because that was in the fall of 2014 when the oil and gas industry took just an absolute nosedive.
Yes, it did.
And the company was pulling back everywhere, but still investing into additive manufacturing, 3D printing. So for me, I mean, it was cool from a technology perspective, right? But also from, kind of looking around and saying, okay, cutbacks everywhere, but they're investing. It was a no-brainer to just kind of like completely dive into that. At the same time, I was maybe the third person who was joining what was then an effort, and it's completely blown up since that. But to build something from the ground up, and I mean, that's, facility, team,
Exciting.
trainings, everything, right? I mean, especially for a company the size of Baker Hughes, it was a very exciting thing to do and a very appealing opportunity.
Yeah, and of course, the oil and gas industry looks at everything large, so when you're looking at 3D printing, you're mostly confined to certain spaces, of course, depending on the technology. And so I noticed that was part of it. Baker Hughes was looking for of course, larger systems and the ability to print in a larger print bed. And you started to take advantage of some of that while you were there. And what did you see as, I know you can't talk about specific things, but general applications that were starting to fit that niche at the time? What did you see starting to come into play?
Baker Hughes is very similar to a lot of other companies in the, kind of 2014 through maybe even today. There was a great business case that was written around 3D printing and additive manufacturing. And then as soon as the machine arrives, the business case gets tossed out the window and the machine is used, but it's used for a wide variety of applications. And so it's used, it's just not necessarily for the original intent. So what I have seen, I guess to answer your question, where I've seen additive manufacturing being used, right, is sort of across a couple of different stages of the value chain. But where I think Baker Hughes has done a really good job is really putting an emphasis in design for additive manufacturing, and really trying to get additive manufacturing used very early in the kind of the design and the product life cycle stage.
Yeah, that's huge.
Really, and it's Baker Hughes, right? I mean, it's they own the application, and so you were with the OS for a long time. You worked with customers, service bureaus, large manufacturing companies, like Carpenter, and then those who actually own the application. And so it's a very different mindset when you own the end product, because we're able to actually, kind of integrate and get in deep with the design engineers very early on that stage and take it all the way through, influence it all the way through the end. Yeah, with when you're working with the customer, like we are with Carpenter, we're working with customers who are at various stages. And so sometimes you come in and they've already kind of gone through this early stage of design for additive manufacturing. Sometimes they haven't done that at all, and they're just, here, can we print this? And so comes with all of its own set of challenges and opportunities, and it just makes it fun.
Yeah, it does. I think that's the cool part of the process is once you get in there, there's so many things to address, and each application is slightly or a lot different. So it's, it's a different approach. You learn some things that you could bring over to specific parts of an application, and then you learn each time when things fail, what not to do the next time, so that's a part of the iteration process that helps quickly in additive with 3D printing. You could look at things a lot quicker than you can in some of the other processes, but that's awesome stuff. And I know, like you said, you took that over to Carpenter now. And this last year, of course, has been interesting. Of course, what's happened with COVID, and I know still at the same time, Carpenter has made some really big moves on getting a lot of things really locked in on the additive side. So it must be an exciting time to be there. How has that experience been for you?
I mean, absolutely phenomenal, to be honest with you. I mean, also challenging, right? Also a lot of opportunities that have come out of this. After being with Baker for about 4.5 years and kind of getting additive manufacturing at the company to, I think, a pretty good steady state, and they've done an incredible job since I've joined Carpenter. But I came to Carpenter and took a look around here in Alabama, kind of around Huntsville, northern Alabama,
Huntsville.
Yeah, and at the Emergent Technology Center, which launched and had the grand opening in December of 2019. But when I came and joined and looked around, I mean, it was literally like tape on the floor, and having conversations with some of the leadership of, well, should we scoot that wall 10 feet out further? So, I mean, like, so early stage, and it was just so much fun, as you can imagine, right? Of really doing it again from the ground up. And even at a larger scale, I mean, just in terms of physical space and expectations for growth and such like that. So it's been super fun. And then, of course, as COVID has kind of arrived and disrupted a lot of the economy, we've been forced to sort of ramp things up a little bit faster than expected, and just makes the fun more fun.
And I noticed it looks like you're in the office today. Have you been in the office mostly during this time, or is there a lot of work from home? What's that balance been like?
So it's differed by the company. It's kind of state by state and location by location as well. We've been probably busier than we ever anticipated being this early. After launching talking about the ETC, and because of that, and because of the laws that the governor here in Alabama kind of set into place, we were deemed as essential employees. We're also working with a kind of a pretty tight group right now, and so it's just kind of there was about a week and a half or so, or 2 weeks, where it was not always kind of a guarantee of coming into the office, but for the past 2 months, I would say it's been coming in on a day-to-day, making sure that jobs are getting pushed through. Things are being, I'm trying to say something without using so many superlatives, but effectively, right? Like things are getting done, and that the work is kind of continuing. Right? The daily tasks are, people understand what their priorities are and what their tasks for the days are, and that they're executing them and then getting jobs out the door and into customers' hands. It's the general economy has stopped, but the customer expectations are just as they ever were. Right, get the product right, high quality, on time.
Yes, and yesterday, right? Get it done yesterday.
And yesterday, yeah, and yesterday.
Yeah. Well, no, I know you brought up a lot of important topics there, especially on the collaboration side. I know, during this time, a lot more people have been able to collaborate in different ways and get things done. And like you said, growing teams, and you've been part of even mentorships and being mentors to younger engineers and things like that. And I think that's very important, giving back to the community in different ways. So talk a little bit about those early collaborations or some of those things that you did to build teamwork. Are you still part of the mentoring programs that you were when you were in the college, or how's that going now?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely try to do as much as I can. Everyone kind of has to figure out a way which they're going to give back, right? And that's one way that I really like to try to use a little bit of my extra time. I think it's absolutely imperative right now with additive manufacturing. It's still young, all things considered. And in terms of, just to address the collaboration first, I mean, there's still so much, regulatory agencies and qualifications and such that still need to be addressed that any one company is not going to and cannot do it alone. So, I mean, it's absolutely imperative from that standpoint. From a mentorship perspective, coming from the oil and gas industry, I saw very early on that unless you could work with young employees who really bought in and kind of see the vision of the company and the industry and everything, when times are tough and if they get either disenchanted or find something that looks a little bit more stable, they'll step out and you won't see them again.
Sure.
And again, additive manufacturing is still quite young, and it is such I personally think, like a pretty unique skill set to be a good additive manufacturing engineer.
Sure.
Right? I mean, you're talking design engineering, you're talking systems engineering, mechanical engineering, material scientist, all of these things that are tied into one. And every single one of them, every additive engineer, in my opinion, is worth his or her weight in gold.
Yeah.
And so, I don't want to see them go into another industry, quite frankly.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I want to feed back into the additive manufacturing industry and watch it grow and watch it thrive. It's a very exciting time to be in additive manufacturing right now.
It is, and that's a very good point about giving back to those that are getting involved early, the young engineers that could be kind of getting involved or pushing forward with any kind of industry, but to bring them and hold them into additive, it takes that mentorship and really being there for somebody else and kind of showing them why it's so interesting. Sometimes it's a bit challenging, of course, for all of us in the beginning when we're getting settled. So no, I'm glad you're doing it. I saw that's been a big part of your history, so I wanted to bring that up. I think that's great. Always looking to give back some way or another, and that's a big part of it. So good to hear that that's where you've been, and that's always been a part of your daily career there. So good stuff, man.
People have done it for me, so it's it's a pay it forward type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's
everyone
can just look back on people who have been a good mentor or influenced them in some sort of way. And pay it forward, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. It really is. So, aside from that too, I know we talked a little bit about family and the things we do to kind of release the stress right now. But what have you been doing during this time, during the pandemic and things to kind of take your mind off things? And I know you've been working a lot, so you've had to have some way of kind of relaxing or getting away from all the madness. What have you been doing with yourself?
So so my wife and daughter and I like to go. I don't know if my daughter likes it. She's 20 months old. Who knows what she likes and what she doesn't like. Right.
Yeah.
But we go hiking. Northern Alabama seems to be. It is like a very beautiful area, and
it is
hills and of the Appalachian Mountains.
Gorgeous.
And so it's been really fun. And we've been physically here for about a year. And I will say that, 12 months ago when she was 8 months old, it was a lot easier to carry her on my back than it is now at 20 months.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. I feel like there should be a mode in my Apple Watch to say, yes, going on a hike, but with a toddler on my back.
Right. Yeah.
I get 20% extra bonus points or something.
Big time, the difference. I was thinking about that, up until about a year or so ago. I was grabbing picking my daughter up out of bed every morning. Now she's too big for that. But I was like, this is a workout. every morning, get going and stuff like that. It's it's stuff that you'll definitely miss. So take advantage of it while you're doing it, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, cheers. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Well, no, it's been great having you here. I know. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about while we have you here?
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned the podcast. I'd be remiss if I didn't kind of give a little bit of a plug to Carpenter on the PowderHeads podcast.
Yep. We could have a link to it so people could check it out on their own time, and that'd be fun. Well, hey, Luke, it's been great having you here. Again, it's so exciting to see what's going to be happening at Carpenter. So we'll check in again. But then thank you for everything. And I want to say this before we sign off too, that, you were one of the first people that, gave me a little encouragement a couple of years back when I started doing some of the interviews. So I really appreciate that, man, because, I remember even during that time, it was difficult, and I was like, oh gosh, at least somebody's getting something out of it.
I remember exactly which one it was. It was one of the, I think it was Rapid, wasn't it? Or,
yeah, so I think it was Rapid or IMTS. Yeah.
I didn't get the chance to make it that year, and I was watching all of your interviews and living very vicariously through you.
Yeah,
and being like I feel like I'm there. I know who's there. I see a lot of old friendly and familiar faces, and and I certainly appreciate the invitation to come and chat today, and I really enjoyed it.
Definitely. You've always been a very positive person to speak with, so I was looking forward to this and looking forward to do it again. Luke, thank you very much, and good luck at Carpenter. I hope things go well. We're looking forward to checking in soon.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
We're gonna be